The emissions trading scheme is the Rudd government's idea on reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The plan is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by between 5 and 25% by 2020 and eventually by 60% by the middle of this century, by 2050. The reason why it's between 5 and 25% is because the government wants to wait and see what's happening in the major meeting in Copenhagen on climate change in December. The opposition, the coalition and the 5 Green senators, Steve Fielding from Family First and Nick Xenophon, the independent senator from South Australia, all combined to vote down the emissions trading scheme, but it was coupled with the renewable energy bill, which the government decided to use tactically to try and force Malcolm Turnbull and the coalition to vote for both the ETS and the renewable energy bill, seeing they were together. That didn't happen, and I think that strategy was not well thought out. Malcolm Turnbull and the coalition were always going to vote against the ETS. So now the two bills have been decoupled. The renewable energy bill will most likely be supported in the Senate today. It'll go through. It means that 20% of all electricity by 2020 will come from renewable energy sources, from wind power, from solar, perhaps from geothermal. There's been an enormous amount of industry pressure on both the government and on the coalition. I think the Ross Garnaut's report, Professor Garnaut's report, recommended an ETS scheme with a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by between 25 and 40% by 2020. The government watered that down to between 5 and 25. I think certainly reflecting the pressure which they are under from the coal industry and from the other heavy polluters like the concrete industry and the aluminium industry. But with the coalition parties being naturally more much closer to these interests, to the business interests involved here, there's been the coalition policy reflects, I think, what some of these industry groups want. That is, they want to postpone any ETS scheme until after Copenhagen, and then see what the international community decides on, and then perhaps follow that next year. But they certainly they haven't got a policy which sets any targets at the moment. I think in 6 months' time, when the bill comes back into the Senate, Malcolm Turnbull will vote for it. If he votes against it, it gives the government a double dissolution trigger. Kevin Rudd will almost certainly use that. If the polls are still in his favour, which they probably still will be, it will be devastating for the Liberal Party in the Senate. They may even lose seats in the lower house, and Malcolm Turnbull will probably lose his leadership if that happens. So I think if I was a betting man, I would say that Malcolm Turnbull would vote for the bills, but he still faces a lot of dissent within the coalition parties and even within the Liberal Party.